The stars outside the large window were still. Space was quiet and empty, but Captain Laura Brooks knew that silence in space was never safe. She stood on the bridge of the Liberty Star, looking at the data that had just arrived. The signal was weak, old, and full of static. But there was something strange about it. It was not random. It was human. Lieutenant Ethan Cole sat at the console, running the signal through filters. He was young, smart, and always ready to find answers. He looked up at the captain with confusion in his eyes. "It's coming from the edge of the void, Captain," he said. "Coordinates are outside known space." Captain Brooks crossed her arms. She had seen many strange things in her years, but this felt different. "How old is the signal?" she asked. "The signal type is from Earth, maybe 50 years old. But the timestamp is today," Ethan replied. Commander Ryan Hale stepped closer. He was a calm man with sharp eyes. "It might be a trick," he said. "Pirates or worse. Or it could be real," said Brooks. "What if it really is from Earth? From a ship we lost?" They all looked at the screen. The signal was marked as coming from ECS Pathfinder. That ship had disappeared 50 years ago. No wreckage was ever found. No one knew what happened. "Liberty Star is the closest vessel," said Brooks. "We'll check it out. Prepare the crew. We leave in 6 hours." The ship moved fast through space. Liberty Star was strong, built for long missions. It had weapons, science labs, and a loyal crew. The journey to the edge of known space took 4 days. On the 5th day, they reached the last marked star system. Beyond that, nothing was charted. They passed strange waves of energy. The ship shook once, then twice, but held strong. Lights flickered, but the systems stayed online. Reading something ahead, Ethan said, "Large object, metallic, no heat, on." The screen, a shape appeared. It floated in the dark like a ghost. The crew grew silent. It was a ship. "Is that the Pathfinder?" asked Megan Scott, the science officer. She had spent years studying lost ships. "It matches the Pathfinder's shape and size," said Ryan. "But look at it, the hull is wrong. It's covered in something ... alien." The hull looked burned, but also covered with strange marks. They glowed a soft blue and moved slowly, like they were alive. No one answered their calls. No lights came from inside. "We have to go in," said Captain Brooks. "Suit up a team. Megan, Ryan, you're with me." The shuttle crossed the space between the two ships. It landed inside the Pathfinder's bay, which opened as if waiting. Inside, everything was dark. The lights from the shuttle showed long, empty halls. There was no damage, but also no signs of people. "The ship is fully powered," said Megan, looking at her scanner. "But it's running on something I don't understand. This isn't Earth tech." They walked through the halls. Dust floated in the air. The walls had the same glowing marks as the hull. They seemed to hum softly. "No bodies," said Ryan. "No signs of struggle." They reached the bridge. It was empty. Everything was in perfect order. A message was left on the main screen. Just one word: return. Megan found the ship's log. Most files were missing, but some videos were still there. They showed the crew working, then strange lights, then silence. The last file was 50 years old. "Captain, I found something," Megan said. She pointed to a room marked cryostorage. Inside, there was one cryopod still running. A man floated inside. His tag read, "Dr. Alan Price." "He's alive," said Megan. Vitals are stable. He's been in cryo-sleep for 50 years. They brought him back to the Liberty Star. The ship's medical team began the wake-up process. Captain Brooks stood nearby, waiting. When Alan opened his eyes, he looked around and smiled. "You found us," Brooks nodded. "We did. Where is the rest of your crew?" Alan's smile faded. "Gone." She looked at him. "Gone where?" He closed his eyes and whispered, "Beyond." She wanted to ask more, but he was too weak. The doctor said he needed rest. Back on the Pathfinder, the systems remained online, but they no longer responded to control. It was like the ship was waiting for something. Captain Brooks stared at the floating ship outside her window. Something had come back from the void, but it was not just a ship. It was more than that. It had changed, and she felt something watching from deep space, far away. In a place with no stars, something began to move. The void had returned something, and it was not done yet. Captain Laura Brooks sat in her chair, looking at the strange ship through the window. The ex-Pathfinder floated close, its shape familiar but different. It was silent, like a ghost from the past. But something inside her said it was not just a ship anymore. Dr. Alan Price was resting in the medical bay. He was weak but calm. The medical team ran tests, but his body showed signs they did not understand. His cells had changed. He was still human, but not the same. Commander Ryan Hale came to the bridge. "He's awake," he said. "He wants to talk." Laura stood and followed him. The medical bay was quiet. Alan sat up on the bed, watching the crew move around him. "Thank you for saving me," Alan said. "What happened to your ship?" Laura asked. Alan looked at her. His eyes were sharp, but something in them seemed far away. "We went beyond known space. We were pulled into a place where light moves the wrong way and time doesn't follow rules. We found something there, or maybe it found us." Ryan stepped closer. "What do you mean?" "The void is not empty," Alan said. "It's full of things we don't have names for. They don't think like us. They don't move like us. Some of them watched us. One of them entered the ship, not through doors or airlocks. It was just there. It touched the ship and changed it." "Changed how?" Laura asked. Alan looked at the ceiling. "The ship is alive now. It hears. It learns. It doesn't belong here anymore." The crew listened in silence. No one knew what to say. "And the crew?" Laura asked. Alan's voice became quiet. "One by one, they disappeared. Some walked into the walls and never came out. Some said they saw things that called to them. I was the last one. I went into cryo-sleep because I knew I couldn't leave. I thought the ship would drift forever. But now you brought it back." Back on the ex-Pathfinder, Megan Scott was still studying the systems. She used scanners and tools, but nothing worked like it should. "This isn't Earth tech anymore," she told the captain through the comm. "The power core is running on something I've never seen. It's not fusion or antimatter. It's stable, but it doesn't follow any known rule." Ryan stood beside her. They moved deeper into the ship. Every room looked clean. The lights were dim, but the strange blue marks glowed softly. It felt like the ship was breathing. They reached the engine room. The core was inside a large metal chamber, but the walls had changed. They were smooth and silver, with no bolts or panels. "I think it's growing," Megan said, "like it's becoming something else." Suddenly, the lights turned bright. A voice echoed through the ship. It was not loud, but it filled every space. "Return, Megan jumped back. Did you hear that? Ryan nodded. That was not from our systems. The ship spoke. The voice stopped. The lights went dim again. Back on Liberty Star, Alan sat up fast. It knows you're here now. You woke it up. Laura leaned forward. What does it want? Alan shook his head. It doesn't want anything. It remembers. It remembers what it became. It remembers me. Outside the two ships, space started to shift. A strange wave passed over them. Lights on both ships blinked. Systems went down and came back. The stars outside seemed to twist and bend. Ethan Cole called from the bridge. Captain, we're picking up movement. Multiple ships approaching. Laura rushed to the bridge. The screen showed strange shapes coming from deep space. They were not human ships. Their shapes were long and sharp, with red glowing engines. They're not from any known species, Ethan said. But they're moving fast. Laura looked at the display. 5 unknown ships, heading straight toward them. Alert the crew, she said. Get everyone back from the Pathfinder. On the alien ships, creatures called the Verex watched. They had many eyes and tall, thin bodies. They had watched the void for a long time. The return of the Pathfinder was a threat to them. The ship must be destroyed, the Verex leader said, before it speaks again. On the Liberty Star, the crew got ready. Shields went up. Weapons were armed. But Captain Brooks knew they might not be enough. Megan and Ryan returned from the Pathfinder with samples. They brought parts of the hull and strange crystals from the engine room. These things can't be broken, Megan said. We tried. Nothing works. Laura turned to Alan. Can you stop this? Alan closed his eyes. I don't think it can be stopped. The ship is awake. It's not angry, but it's not sleeping anymore. If they attack, it will protect itself and us. Maybe. The alien ships came closer. They sent a signal in a language no one understood. Then their weapons charged. Laura stood on the bridge.com, but ready. If they fire, we fire back. Alan stepped forward. Let me try something. He walked to the center of the room. His hands began to glow. A light came from his skin. Everyone stared. The Pathfinder lit up outside, glowing the same color. It knows me, Alan said. I can speak to it. The alien ships fired. Energy blasts raced toward the Liberty Star. But just before they hit, a blue shield appeared around both ships. The blasts hit the shield and vanished. The Pathfinder had protected them. The crew gasped. Laura looked at Alan. What are you? Alan did not answer. He just looked out the window at the alien ships. The glow in his hands faded. This is only the beginning, he said, and outside the Verex ships prepared to attack again. The blue shield stayed around the Liberty Star and the Pathfinder. The crew stared at it, shocked. It was not made by any human technology. It looked smooth, bright, and alive. Alan stood still in the middle of the bridge. His face looked calm, but his eyes were full of thoughts. Captain Laura Brooks stepped closer. What did you do? She asked. Alan turned to her. I asked the ship to protect us. It listened. Ethan Cole looked at his screen. The shield is made of energy we can't scan. It's solid and flexible at the same time. Nothing is getting through. Commander Ryan Hale looked at Alan. How are you doing this? You were just a scientist before. Alan nodded. That's true. But after the void, something inside me changed. I don't know how to explain it. The ship gave me this ability, or maybe the thing inside the void did. I don't fully control it, but I can speak to it. Outside, the alien ships circled like hunters. The Varex leader sat inside his command ship. He watched the blue shield and clicked his claws together. The infection is alive, he said. The human ship has become part of the void. It must be erased. He gave the order. All 5 alien ships opened fire at once. Bright beams hit the shield. The light around the Pathfinder and the Liberty Star rippled like water. The blasts failed to break through. On the Liberty Star, the ship shook a little, but nothing was damaged. The crew held their breath. "We're still here," Megan Scott said. "That shield is holding. For how long?" Laura asked. Alan closed his eyes and sat down. He looked tired. "It's not just the ship that's shielding us. It's something bigger. The void is watching now. I can feel it." Laura stared at him. "What does it want?" Alan shook his head. "I don't think it wants anything. But it learns. It changes. And now it's part of me. Part of all of us." Ryan leaned closer. "If this power is so strong, can we use it?" Alan looked unsure. "We have to be careful. It doesn't think like us. It gives, but it also takes." Outside, the Pathfinder started to move on its own. No engines fired. It just glided forward like it was swimming through space. Ethan watched the radar. It's heading toward the Varex ships, still shielded, still calm. The alien ships backed away. One of them fired again, but the blast bounced off. "Is it going to attack?" Ryan asked. Alan stood. "No, it's going to speak." The lights on the Pathfinder flashed. Then a signal came through all systems. The message was not in words. It was in pictures and feelings. Everyone on the Liberty Star saw it in their minds. They saw a dark place, full of light that moved in circles. Shapes with no faces floated there. Then they saw the Pathfinder drifting through that space, touched by one of the shapes. Then the ship changed. It became quiet, strong, and alive. The last image was Earth, far away. The message was clear. "Return. Megan sat down, holding her head. "I saw it all. The ship wants to go back. It wants to carry the message." Laura looked at Alan. "Is this what you meant when you said it remembers?" "Yes," Alan said. "It remembers where it came from, and it remembers being alone." On the alien ships, the Varex leader felt fear. He had seen the message too. It had entered his mind. He slammed his claw on the console. "We must destroy it now, before it spreads, before it calls more." He ordered 2 ships to ram the Pathfinder. They sped forward, ready to strike, but the space around the Pathfinder bent. It folded in ways that made no sense. The 2 alien ships disappeared. No explosion, no fire. They were just gone. Silence filled the bridge of the Liberty Star. Alan whispered, "It didn't destroy them. It moved them. Somewhere else." "Where?" Ethan asked. Alan looked out the window. "Somewhere they can't hurt anyone. Maybe inside the void. Maybe further." The last 3 Varex ships turned and ran. They jumped to faster than light speed and vanished. Laura sat down. "It's over." Alan shook his head. "Not yet. The ship still wants to go back, and it wants me to go with it." "Why?" Megan asked. "Because I was part of the first crew. Because I understand it. Because I'm part of what it became," Alan said. Laura looked at him. "You'll disappear, just like the others." Alan smiled. "Maybe. Or maybe I'll go somewhere better. Somewhere I belong now." Later that day, a small shuttle left the Liberty. Star Allen was inside. The Pathfinder opened its bay doors. The shuttle entered. The doors closed. The ship glowed brighter. Its blue shield faded. Then it started to move. It didn't use engines. It folded space and vanished. The Liberty Star was alone again. Laura looked at the empty place where the ship had been. She recorded her final log. The ex-Pathfinder returned, changed, alive. It brought back one man and a message. The void is not empty. It watches, it learns, and sometimes it returns what we've lost, but not always the same. She closed the log, and deep in space, the void was quiet again. For now, the Liberty Star moved slowly through deep space. The Pathfinder was gone. Allen was gone. Captain Laura Brooks watched the stars. They looked the same, but she felt something had changed. Her crew worked in silence. Everyone was thinking about what they had seen. Ethan Cole sat at his station, checking for signals. "Nothing strange on the scanners," he said. "All systems normal." Ryan Hale stood near the window. "I still don't understand what happened. That ship, those alien marks, the way it moved. It was like a dream." Megan Scott looked up from her tablet. "Not a dream. We all saw it. The ship became something else. It was not just a machine anymore. It was ... alive." Laura nodded. "And now it's gone." "And Alan went with it." A soft beep came from the console. Ethan leaned forward. "Captain, we're picking up a signal. Not from this system. It's a wideband message. Looks like it's from the Varex." Ryan stepped over. "What do they want now?" Ethan played the message. It was audio only. A deep voice spoke slowly. "To the humans of Earth, we do not trust the thing you brought back. It has power beyond reason. It breaks the rules of the universe. The Varex Dominion warns you, stay away from the void. If you return, we will not show mercy." The message ended. The crew looked at each other. "Well, they're scared," Ryan said. "And they should be." Laura looked at the stars. "They fear what they don't understand. We all do." Later, Megan called Laura to the lab. She had opened one. Of the samples from the Pathfinder, it was a piece of metal from the outer hull. "Look at this," Megan said. "It's not just metal. It's growing. The material is changing itself. It's adapting to our environment." Laura frowned. "Is it dangerous?" "No," Megan said. "Not yet, but we need to keep it in a secure place. We don't know how far it will grow." Ryan walked in. "We also found something else. The data logs Alan left behind. His personal files." They opened the logs. Alan had recorded his thoughts before leaving. "If you were reading this," his voice said, "then I'm gone. I chose to go with the Pathfinder because I knew it was the right thing. The ship is not a threat. It is not a weapon. It is a messenger. The void holds more than darkness. It holds knowledge." The log paused. Then it continued. "The Empire fears it because they don't control it. But we must not fear. We must learn. One day, the Pathfinder may return again, and when it does, I hope we are ready." The log ended. Laura saved the file. The next day, the Liberty Star reached a communication relay. They sent a full report back. To Earth, they did not hide the truth. They told everything about the signal. The Pathfinder, Alan, the voids, and the void. Weeks passed. The ship returned to a nearby station. The crew was tired, but alive. They were told to rest. But Earth Command had questions. An officer named Colonel Nathan Briggs came to the station. He was tall, with cold eyes. He met Laura in the briefing room. "Your report was detailed," he said, "but parts of it are hard to believe." Laura gave a small nod. "I understand, but it all happened." Briggs looked at the screen behind her. A still image of the Pathfinder was shown. "Do you think the ship will return?" he asked. "Maybe," Laura said. "If it wants to, and if it does, will it be a threat?" Laura thought for a moment. "Not to us. Not if we respect it." Briggs closed his folder. "Earth Command wants to study the samples. We will move them to a lab on Mars." Laura stood. "Be careful. That material is still alive." "We'll handle it," Briggs said. After he left, Ryan entered. "Do you trust him?" "No," Laura said. "But we have no choice." That night, Megan checked the metal sample again. It was glowing softly. She touched the glass, and the glow grew stronger. She stepped back. The glow faded. She made a note in her log. "Sample is aware of contact. May respond to emotion. Will continue to observe." Far away, on a quiet moon base, scientists opened another box. Inside was a second crystal taken from the Pathfinder. It pulsed with light. One of the scientists reached out. The crystal stopped glowing. Then, in a soft flash, it disappeared. The man stepped back. Where did it go? No one answered. In deep space, the stars shifted. A new light appeared. It was small, like a spark, but it was growing. The void was waking up again, and the message had only begun to spread. The Liberty Star stayed in orbit around the last known signal point for 2 more days. There were no signs of the Pathfinder. The stars were still. The strange energy that once filled the space had faded, but the feeling it left behind stayed. With everyone, Captain Laura Brooks stood on the bridge, silent. Her hands were behind her back. She watched the black screen in front of her. She had led many missions. None like this. Ryan Hale entered the bridge. No sign of Alan. No signal. The Pathfinder is really gone. Laura nodded. He made his choice. We have to respect it. Ethan Cole turned in his seat. We've received a message from Earth Command. They want us back for full debriefing. Set course, Laura said. Her voice was calm, but her mind was not. The Liberty Star turned slowly and began its trip back toward known space. The crew remained quiet. The strange memory of the void, of the ship, of the message still lived inside them. 2 weeks later, the Liberty Star arrived at a large station near Mars. The crew was met by officers, scientists, and leaders. They were asked the same questions again and again. Everyone wanted to know what the crew saw, what they felt, what they brought back. Laura answered carefully. She told them the facts. She told them what Alan said. She told them what the crew saw, but some things she kept to herself. One of the scientists asked, "Do you believe the Pathfinder was alive?" Laura paused. Then she answered, "I believe it became something more." Another officer asked, "Is it a threat?" She said, "Only if we treat it like one." Megan Scott was kept at the station for more tests. She had touched the alien material. Her readings were strange. Her brainwaves had changed. She said she felt calm, focused, more aware. Ryan Hale returned to his family, but he could not stop thinking about the message. He kept drawing the strange shapes they had seen in their minds. He pinned them on his walls. He looked at them every day. Ethan Cole went back to the academy. He started teaching young officers, but sometimes, in the middle of class, he would stop and stare at nothing, like he was listening to something far away. Months passed. The world moved on. Earth Command spoke less and less about the Pathfinder. They filed the mission as closed. A warning was sent to all deep space ships. Do not enter the void. But not everyone listened. In a small lab on one of Jupiter's moons, a group of scientists studied the crystal that disappeared. They had placed it in a secure box, and one day it was simply gone. No alarm, no signal, no trace. It was as if it had never been there. One scientist named Darren looked through every log. He could not explain it, but he kept a secret. The crystal had left something behind. A mark, a soft glow inside the wall. It pulsed once a day. He did not tell anyone. He only watched. In another part of the galaxy, the Verex Dominion stayed silent. Their ships no longer patrolled the border near the void. Their leaders had seen what the Pathfinder could do. They had seen something that broke the laws of the stars. They feared what might come next. One Verex elder spoke only once. He said, "The humans do not understand what they carry, but the void has chosen them. We must watch, and we must not interfere again." Back on Earth, Captain Laura Brooks walked through a quiet forest. She had taken leave after her debriefing. She needed space, trees, silence. She carried no cum, no tablet, just a small notebook where she wrote her thoughts. On the last page, she wrote one line. The void did not take Alan. It accepted him. That night, she sat by a lake. The stars reflected. In the water, she looked up and smiled. There, just above the moon, she saw something. It was not a star. It blinked once, then it moved. It was small, bright, smooth. It left no trail. Laura closed her notebook. She stood up. Somewhere, the Pathfinder was still out there, still watching, and maybe, just maybe, one day, it would return again. But next time, Earth might not be ready. The void had touched humanity, and it had only just begun. Asterisk. 3 years passed since the Pathfinder vanished into the void. Most people on Earth had forgotten the story. News stopped talking about it. The files were locked. Only a few still remembered what really happened. One of them was Megan Scott. She now worked in a quiet lab under the oceans of Europa. The lab was small, hidden from the public. It was run by a group of scientists who wanted to study what Earth Command refused to touch. They called it Project Horizon. Their goal was simple: find out if the Pathfinder left anything behind. Megan sat in front of a screen. Strange energy readings appeared every day at the same hour. A signal, always the same pattern. It came from deep space, the place where the void began. "It's repeating again," said a voice behind her. It was Daniel, one of the new techs. He was young and curious. "I know," Megan said. "Same time, same signal. Do you think it's the Pathfinder?" Megan nodded. "Yes, I think it's trying to speak." She had kept one piece of metal from the old ship. It was small, like a coin, but it pulsed with light every time the signal came in. It never changed. It never stopped. Far away, on a station orbiting Saturn, Ethan Cole was having strange dreams. He no longer worked for Earth Command. He had left after the mission. Now he taught new cadets, but the dreams came every night. He saw lights spinning, shapes floating, a voice without words. He told no one, but one day a message came to his console. It had no sender, just a single line of text. "Return." Ethan stared at it. He knew it was not from Earth. He knew who it was. He packed his things and left for Europa. When he arrived at the lab, Megan was not surprised. "You got the message," she said. "I did. It was time." Together, they looked at the signal. It had changed. It was stronger, clearer. It was not random anymore. It was guiding them. "It wants us to go back," Ethan said. "But why now?" Megan asked. "Why, after all this time? Maybe it learned something. Maybe it found something. Or maybe it needs us again." They took the signal to Earth Command. They were not welcome. "This case is closed," said the officer at the front desk. "We have no active files on the Pathfinder." Megan placed the coin-shaped metal on the table. It pulsed with light. The lights in the room dimmed. The officer stood. "Wait here." An hour later, Colonel Nathan Briggs entered. He had more grey hair now, but the same cold eyes. "Why are you here?" he asked. Ethan stepped forward. "The Pathfinder is sending a signal. It's active. It's calling us." Briggs looked at the coin. "What is that?" "A part of the ship," Megan said. "It reacts to the signal. It always has. Now it's getting stronger." Briggs sat down. "And what do you want?" "We want to go back," Ethan said. The room was silent for a long time. Then Briggs stood. "Follow me." He took them to a lower level of the base. Behind a locked door was a ship. It was new, built with parts from the Pathfinder's design. It was smaller, faster, and covered in the same strange metal. "We call it the Horizon," Briggs said. "It was made in secret. We never used it. We were afraid." "Then let us take it," Megan said. Briggs looked at them. "What if it doesn't return this time?" "Then we find out why," Ethan said. 2 days later, the Horizon left orbit. It moved fast, faster than any ship Earth had made. The void was far, but the ship was made to find it. As they reached the edge of space, the signal grew stronger. The metal inside the ship began to glow. The engines changed their sound. Space around them started to bend. Ethan checked the controls. "We're not flying anymore. We're being pulled." "Let it pull," Megan said. The stars around them faded. Then the void appeared. It was black, but alive. Shapes moved in the dark. Lights danced with no source. Then, in the middle of the strange space, the Pathfinder appeared. It looked the same, quiet, bright, waiting. The Horizon stopped. No engines. No control. Just silence. Then the screen turned on. Alan's face appeared. Older, wiser. "Welcome back," he said. Megan gasped. "Alan, I'm here, not the same, but still me." Ethan stepped closer. "Why did you call us?" Alan smiled. "Because it's time. Earth must see, must know, must grow. See." "What?" Megan asked. "Everything," Alan said. The Pathfinder opened. A path of light reached toward the Horizon. Alan said, "Come." And they did. The void was ready, and Earth would never be the same again.